say Nigeria is complex hasn't been to complex societies. I lived in the US for 20 years, and just one state in the US, Alaska, is bigger than Nigeria. California is half of Nigeria. Texas is 75% of Nigeria. It's just 3 states. And there are 50 of those states managed, run by one person, the president of the US. I understand that there are 250 different languages and several other tribes and cultures to manage, but that is not an excuse for anyone who wants to manage a state or a country, because we've been conditioned to believe that every problem is complex. Then we often refer to Nigeria as a complex place to govern. I've been to over 30 countries that should typically be more complex than Nigeria. The moment you throw the complexity of a country at anybody, you are not looking at solutions. Leaders look for solutions. They don't try to make it look as if complexity is something that can...
Barrister, do you agree with Omoyele Sowore, whom we just played his clip right now? That
well,
hold on, please. That other countries, Nigeria is not complex. That other countries are more complex than us. Is there any country that is as complex as Nigeria? Because when you talk of complexity, how do you define complexity? US is not a complex country to rule, because the culture, the entire culture, they align with each other. They can cohabit. They are intertwined. The culture is almost like monologue, a sort of. So I don't understand why he compared US complexity to that of Nigeria, saying that US is more complex than Nigeria. Tell me, how is US more complex than Nigeria? How can complexity be? How much can complexity be that of Nigeria for you, someone to really categorize this as one of the complex nations to actually govern? We have about over 300, almost about 350 to almost 400 different tribes. We have the complexity of religion. We have so many things that has to do with complexity. Yet, Omoyele Sowore says Nigeria is not complex. Barrister.
Of course, because complexity is not defined by size. It's not where he was making reference to Texas, Alaska, California, and their size. That is not complexity. If you are talking of size,
Russia is bigger.
By far bigger than the US, bigger than any country on the world. Complexity is nature of the constituents, part of the country. Like you rightly pointed out. If you go to the US, it's not a complex society because they have one idea.
Of course.
They have one idea running through the 50 states.
That is it.
The idea of the US. The idea of the US. Whatever party you belong to, the idea of the US interest, the importance of the US as a country is what governs and determines everything.
That is it.
Even for the criminal element, even the mafia, they bear allegiance to the US. Now come to Nigeria, where people do not have any iota of allegiance to Nigeria. They have allegiance to their ethnic and religious groups. How can you have a society where some people say their religious doctrine is superior to the constitution?
Yeah.
Now, when that happens, how can you have a country? Because it's the constitution that levels the whole constituents, that puts everybody under the same law. It is now the rule of law because the constitution is above. But other people are saying, no, that constitution is above, it's not above. Our religious practices and doctrines are above the constitution. So how do you govern a society like that? How do you bring such a society together? Except those people who hold their religious beliefs above the constitution dominate and impose their will. That's the only time there will be peace. And there will be something, and there will not be peace because the other people will also resist. This is the complexity of Nigeria. I said on this show before, we are not going towards nationalism. We are going apart. We are retreating to our ethnic, tribal, and sectional grid. This is where we are going, instead of going to nationalism, to one country, and thereby putting the interests of the country above every other thing. Is for the very reason that we do not put the interests of Nigeria above. We put our religious and ethnic interests above, that Nigeria is complex. And it is for that reason that somebody cannot leave a state of origin and go to contest election in another state. In the US, you can go and reside in California 6 months and you are entitled to contest for election in that state. And people have done it. When Hillary Clinton left Anchor, so she went to come and contest in New York for Senate. And she was elected. People did not now say, oh, you are not so tribe, you are not so from this part. They don't have that challenges. These are the things we refer to when we are talking about the complexities of Nigeria. The complexities that somebody will tell you that it is better for his own religious person to be elected, even if that person will kill him.
Yes, exactly. I watched that video.
Even if that person will provide all the good governance, all the progress,
Honestly,
he doesn't want. These are the complexities that we talk when we are talking of Nigeria is a complex. How do you govern such a complex?
Honestly, when I watched that video, I couldn't believe that this thought actually came from Omoyele, or this opinion. I was shocked. Omoyele is too exposed and too enlightened for him to understand that size has nothing to do with complexity. He is too exposed and too educated for him to understand that US is a kind of monolithic government or people. They are a set of, just like you said, somebody from the head. Everybody aligns with the state. The entire state comes together to believe in one idea. They believe in their ideology aligns with each other. So how can you call that to be? How can you consider that to be a complex country in comparison to Nigeria, where you have a whole lot of tribes and religion, everything? We have we have the Islamic, we have the traditional, we have the Christian religion. There are so many. These three different religions and other. We have the atheists as well, or the four categories of faith that the four of them disagree with each other completely. And we have the ethnicity. We talk about the ethnicity and the regional. For God's sake, how complex? I don't think there is I don't know. Honestly, correct me if I'm wrong, Barrister. Is there any country that comes to mind that can actually compete with Nigeria when it comes to complexity in the world?
I have never believed that there's any country that has the kind of situation and circumstances that we have in Nigeria. Today, and has survived. There's none. Look, the former Yugoslavia has something like this. They are broken into
pieces, of course.
Five pieces. They have this kind of contradictions in their country, and they are broken into so many countries. It's only Nigeria with the kind of complexity that we have that is still parading, masquerading as one entity.
This is the reason. This is one of the major reasons why I think and I desire that that Nigeria breaks up. Honestly, look, if I wish we can break up in a very, very peaceful and loving way, but unfortunately, our leaders, these leaders that have entrenched us in such immense corruption and depravity, they will not allow that. Our colonial masters, the British, will not allow that, because they are fleecing Nigeria. They are enjoying what they are benefiting as a Nigeria today, from Nigeria as a country today, as against splitting and everybody goes his own way, and obviously all those different countries will become independent. Especially the Biafran country. If Biafra, the Igbo, I don't know whatever country name, whatever they want to name you or whatever, but Igbo going their own way, honestly, will be obviously, and that's the reason why other parts not only hate the Igbos, but they not only hate or envy the Igbos, but they do not want the Igbos to leave. That's just because if Igbo leaves, they will be the most prosperous nation in Africa, I bet you, because they have what it takes and all it takes for them to prosper in governance. Because if you can do well as a businessman, you can do well in government. Anyway, politics, there are the dynamics there that plays that is different from business. But I bet you, if you're a good leader as a businessman, you'll obviously be a good leader as a politician as well.